Welcome to Spokane Business at Spokane Talks. I'm Cyndi Donahue, and I am very pleased to be joined this morning by Alisha Benson, the CEO of Greater Spokane Inc., also known as GSI. Welcome, Alisha.
Hi, Cyndi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being my very first guest on Spokane Talks.
Absolutely. Exciting to talk about business in Spokane.
I know.
Thanks for doing it.
I know. I hope it makes a difference. What would you say is the greatest thing about doing business in Spokane?
Oh, there's so many great things about doing business in Spokane, and a couple of things that come to mind for me. One is the people. I mean, we just have such an incredible just mix of people here, skill sets, talents, energies, ideas. Certainly we have a great education system that's, helping that, but just the people that create our businesses in our community, that I think is one of our greatest points. And then the other one is there's just this unique kind of ingenuity and spirit in Spokane about getting things done, banding together, stronger together, all of those kinds of things. And I think that until you're here, you may not know that, but that piece, I think, is a uniqueness for Spokane and how businesses can, build and thrive here in Spokane.
Are you from Spokane?
I am not.
Where are you from?
I grew up outside of a little town in Helena, Montana, a little town called Clancy, but in Spokane now for pushing 13 years.
And I'm 12 years, so it's almost the same.
Yes.
So I actually find that in Spokane, it's Spokane nice, or just people here are genuinely kind,
Yes.
and they genuinely want to help each other, and they want to do business together. And you can really feel that, like you said, when you're here. It makes a huge difference to be here.
Well, because it takes, the coin term, it takes a village, but in so many ways it does, and those strengths that you're able to pull on, and the ingenuity is incredible.
Yeah. So maybe tell me a little bit about Greater Spokane Inc. or GSI. People that are moving here might not know what GSI is. We just throw it out there. But what are some of the pillars of the organization?
Yeah. So GSI, or Greater Spokane Incorporated, we're the regional business development organization. And so we work with businesses, whether they're just getting started, or whether they've been here for a long time, or they're looking to come and join our community in Spokane. We do our work kind of through three core areas. One is really working with our business and education community, making sure that we have the talent that we need to support business growth here in the region. We do a ton of advocacy at the local, state, and federal level to make sure that we have the business environment and the community environment that we need from a business competitiveness standpoint. And then we work directly with businesses, helping to either retain them here in our community with supports that they need, and or working with businesses that are interested in expanding here in Spokane. And so that's our everyday across, our mighty little organization of 18 people.
I was going to say, you do a lot for 18 people.
We do,
It's
yes.
a lot to take care of. What would you say is the mission or the why of GSI?
Yeah, so our whole purpose is to really drive transformation for business and community. It's really about economic growth and prosperity for the region. And so it's really that when you think about talent and you think about voice and you think about growth, it's just how we roll those two pieces together. For us, it's about making sure that we are growing our economy and building prosperity for all.
So growing jobs, opportunities,
Yep.
and growing people to take the jobs, and
Yes.
attracting people and companies here.
Yep.
And what would you say as a leader, because how long have you been the CEO of GSI now?
Just over a year as CEO, been at the organization for 13.
Wow. So
Almost.
is that what you moved here for?
It'll be 13 years in January that I've been at GSI. And so I moved here, a couple different opportunities. My husband actually had taken a job here, so we moved. And my first job in Spokane was working at GSI, and done a lot of different things in that time, but CEO for the last year.
Yeah, as somebody that's been involved in the women's leadership movement here in Spokane, we were also thrilled when you ascended to CEO. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what would you say as a leader at GSI, what's been your biggest obstacle or something you had to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to put COVID aside, because I think any business leader you have on over the next course of time, certainly navigating through a global pandemic is nothing any of us expected. But I think the other big challenge is just being in the economic development sphere. Economic development is a team sport at the end of the day. And so what's the role of our organization and all of that? How do we help augment, amplify other organizations? And at the same time, how do we come together to tell the story of Spokane? Because that's that kind of at the core is that the ability, our job is to help really market the region from a business standpoint. And so we have building those coalitions, building those partnerships. That's, I think, the biggest thing, because that's about trust. It's about relationships, and then it's about understanding what each organization's role is in that system, and then being able to tell somebody else about it. Because at the end of the day, we want to help businesses and people navigate into our community and grow in our community. And so that takes time, and my transition into the role of CEO, some of that, you have those relationships, but you also have to build them.
Yeah, and in terms of your culture at GSI, has it shifted or changed since you became CEO, or is there something you've been focusing on for your team since you've?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think my whole focus as I moved in was, we have an incredible team. I mean, it's been amazing. We had a few people we needed to hire, and some of those shifts that were kind of underway, particularly hiring somebody to help lead our economic development work. I think at the end of the day, though, it's also, we've been an organization that's experienced a lot of change over the last 5 and 6 years in our leadership role, as in the CEO role, but just as across the board. And so moving into a stage of activation, right? We can plan ourselves in circles, but how do we go and do what we're really good at and bring the community together, connect, and then be able to be that advocate on behalf of the business community. That's been that focus of moving from planning to activation. And COVID threw us a nice shift in the middle of that, but actually it's allowed us to really just play into our strategic role anyways, just doing some maybe different work than we'd intended to do in 2020.
Lots of partnerships happening. And
at the end of the day, our main job is to help support businesses that are here, and we're doing a lot of that work right now.
Yeah, and are you re-promoting the Room to Roam, the new kind of Visit Spokane message?
Hugely. So the partnership with Visit Spokane has been good and has been incredible in this kind of economic time that we find ourselves in. And so the work that their team's leading around Room to Roam is at the forefront of our ability to help then attract those businesses here into the community. And I think also part of our own storytelling, that's what we talk a lot about with the team at Visit Spokane, is we got to build our own confidence in Spokane about why Spokane's so awesome, because everyone that's here has to be an ambassador for Spokane and be able to tell that Spokane story. And so that's what they're doing.
It's like we have to get over the Spokane doesn't suck and embrace our awesomeness, basically. And, and the fact that we have the lifestyle where people can work and live and play, right?
Yep.
I love the Room to Roam. I think that's a good way to put it.
Well, and in the face of what we're living with, is with kind of the global realities with COVID, we have that, right? So you can, that whole concept of Room to Roam is that you can be part of something in this incredible community, but we also aren't sitting all on top of each other. So we really offer so many different amenities. So let's play into that strength that we have here in Spokane in this time when people are exiting our major metros, looking for a place that they can do their business and also afford and engage in the community. Spokane offers all those pieces.
Yeah, we're definitely attracting people from all over. They want to get out of Seattle and San Francisco and have room to roam and have a life. Do you think that there are things we need to do as a community to allow that growth? I feel like sometimes there's the push and pull, right? We need to attract more companies and have more jobs here. We don't want too many invaders coming, people like me that came from somewhere like California, to come in. And so it just seems like there's a balance there with traffic and housing. So,
yeah, I think what we issues like transportation and the transportation infrastructure, housing, how we as a community tackle the homelessness needs of our community, the large, social justice and racism movements underway. Those are really, I think sometimes if we're in Spokane, we maybe think that we're not, that's not a part of our story. It's very much. And when we think about attracting talent or companies to our community, those real community needs and issues we have to be addressing together, and smart growth, right? And I think that that's the opportunity we have. If we go back to the Room to Roam, right, we have a lot of space. So how do we work collectively with our elected leaders, our governments, business, and community to be able to support growth? Because it's going to happen whether we're ready for it or not. And but I think for those that have been here in Spokane forever, that's that Spokane story, right? Of embracing the fact that this is a place that is awesome, like you said, and so how do we build that together?
Yeah, it's the Spokane nice and welcoming strangers, but also still being essentially Spokane. You have these moments, at least for me, I've had moments where I thought, this is so different from anywhere I've ever lived. I remember when I was first looking for a house and we drove down the street and some teenagers waved at us, and I thought, are they joking? But they were genuinely waving like hi, and that was my first experience of kind of this Spokane community and what it can feel like to live here and to do business here has been such a joy for me. So if there was one thing that the community should know about GSI or Greater Spokane Inc., so we let everyone know what that stands for, what would it be?
That's such a great question, Cyndi. I think that we want to partner with you. At our core is all about Spokane, about growing what's here and building on that. And so we want to partner with you, and we want to help tell your story. And I think that, again, if I come back to our job is to help market this region, we want to be able to tell the Spokane story. And so we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And so let's get to know each other.
And if someone was new to town, like my neighbor across the way just moved from Seattle, and they wanted to hook into the Spokane business community, how would be the best way to do that?
Oh, that's such a good question also. I mean, as far as from a GSI perspective, they can just reach out directly. We have an awesome team members that can respond and help. One of our main core tenets is to be a connector. And so I think whether it's our organization or any of the number of our partners, just making that outreach, there are a lot of people here to help somebody like your neighbor be able to they're lucky to be your neighbor because we know you'll get them connected, Cyndi, but just be able to help them get connected and navigate. And I think part of it depends, what are they looking to connect into, and who are they wanting, are they here from a business standpoint, are they looking for great schools, what are those things that are their selling point, and we're ready to help and navigate that.
Yeah. Do you have any specific programs, events, or anything that's coming up that we should know about?
Yeah, well, events has been a time impacted significantly.
Virtual events.
Virtual events. There's a few different things coming up. We have kind of ongoing webinars and workshops, from a professional development standpoint, and then coming up here, the middle of November will be the regional economic forecast, which we are taking virtual after all these years. And so I'd encourage anybody, including folks into the community, we'll have a great lineup of regional economists to talk about not just what we're experiencing now, but as we think ahead through 2021 and we're all planning, that they're kind of being able to jump into that. And then the last thing I'd say is that we also are convening we have a regional business leaders call every couple weeks that's open for folks to join, and we're tackling all kinds of different topics as we, from a leadership perspective, are all navigating this. And so a lot of discussion right now on the legislative session and the kinds of investments we need to be making to help support people and business and community.
Well, thank you for everything that you're doing and your team. I know you have a great team at GSI, so we appreciate everything that you do. And thank you again for coming on to Spokane Talks and Spokane Business. So I'm glad to see you in real life.
In real life. Well, thank you for having me. And it is awesome to see you outside the Zoom screen.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Kamika Love, but you might know me as the Budget Mom. A lot of people read I paid off $77,000 in 8 months, but what they don't hear about is the journey and struggle it took to get to that point. After I got divorced, I found myself shopping to feel better. Ultimately, it put me into credit card debt. When my son was born, it was the first time I actually felt true responsibility. I knew that there was a better life for me, but I didn't know how to get there. Finances are really boring. We make budgeting beautiful. That's what we do here at the Budget Mom. When I first started budgeting, it was critical for me that I had two important things. I needed to have multiple savings accounts, and I needed to make sure that I wasn't flooded with unexpected fees, and STCU provides that for me. I really couldn't do that at just any one of the large banks. It's awesome because when I walk in, they all know me by name. It wasn't just easy to join STCU, it was comfortable. We're inspiring hope. We're inspiring change. STCU is here for good.